Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
people up
awesome.
here just give shit away. It's insane.
You're listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
File access granted.
Welcome, all you believers, idealists, skeptics, and all those who question the universe around them. I'm Ty.
And I'm Bailey.
And this is Cult Talk Conspiracy. This is the closest moment until we are finally at the most magical time of the year.
Oh, yes.
Halloween season, spooky season, Culttober, as it's most commonly known amongst us here in Cult Talk Net. The busiest time for us.
I can smell the pumpkin spice lattes from here. Did I ever tell you?
I cannot wait.
Oh, man. I think I talked about it. The pumpkin spice, or the pumpkin, when someone called me a pumpkin spice whore. I think I talked about that already, but like it is still like true. I need to get a t-shirt that says pumpkin spice whore. Like I'll do some pretty questionable things.
Hey, there's Cult Talk Net merch. Anytime like shirt ideas, we can make a Cult Talk merch shirt out of that, or a mug at least.
I'd love it. I'm down.
I'm check the link below. I'll have it posted by now.
Awesome. But fall is really just like a different, like it is a different vibe. Like throughout the entire year, like
it is the vibe in my opinion. Yeah, I hate the rest of the year. I like the holidays. I like that little 3-month corridor we get where it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and I could really do without the rest of it, honestly.
Yeah, you're like it.
I don't. Yeah, yeah. My birthday's in there, so I'm fine with it. Evan's birthday's in there. I mean, it's all I need.
That time of the year is such a huge like birthday month for Cult Talk Net because like all of the major producers, like it's their birthdays. It's also Essie's birthday.
Mike's in there, Essie's in there. I think Eric's in there.
Eric's is March. Eric's birthday is actually the same day that Mordor destroyed the ring from Lord of the Rings. So you guys can figure that out for yourself.
It's my favorite time of the year. It's the most magical time of the year. I love it. I love the sun setting early. I like the early dusk. I like all that stuff. I do not like summer. I don't like it whatsoever. Nope. I'm a winter boy. I like cold. I like gloomy. I like rain. People talk about seasonal depression in the fall. I get seasonal depression in the summer. I just don't like it at all.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I hate to leave my house when it's fucking 100 and some degrees outside.
Yep. Like just it sucks. Like here's the thing. I don't want to get ready in the morning when it's summertime because I'm going to sweat and everything's going to come off and then I'm going to have acne and then I'm going to have to wash my hair again. And it's it's too much work, man. In the winter, I can hibernate. I don't have to do nothing. Like, it's fine.
I get absolutely nothing done in the summer except for like Cult Talk Net shit because I stay on my couch.
And community yard sales.
Yeah. Those will get me out. Yeah, yard sales and flea markets are the only true saving grace of summer.
So
But speaking of magic, and this being the most magical time of the year, one of my favorite traditions in the fall, as soon as it starts getting cold and the sun starts setting early, one of my favorite things to do, I do it every year, I binge the Harry Potter film series. In my opinion, the greatest series of all time. I watch it like it's one big TV show. It's amazing. The arc is beautiful. All the characters develop so richly. The world is just so vast and well put together. I like the original movies. I'm not a big fan of the like prequel series, the Fantastic Beasts. I didn't get into those. It's really weird. Those are sloppy movies, and I just don't care for them. But I love the original ones.
And I mean, I remember seeing those in theaters as a kid, and those graphics and everything, like everything still holds up. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. They use a lot of practical in the originals too. There's a lot of practical effects and stuff, and it's really nice, and there's a lot of talent behind it. I mean, it's pretty much like the who's who of like talented British actors. They really did like pull together like the A team. It's super interesting, and you have like of course like younger actors like Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grant and all those in there, and it's really interesting how they blend all that together and just make this like super awesome film series that just still is up today. I mean, I can't get over it how good it is, and the books. I'm getting into the books. I've never read the books. That's something that people assume I've done. Now I'm a Harry Potter movie fan, but Evan did get me the books for Christmas last year, so I've been reading those. I'm like through the first two, starting the third, and they're fantastic too. I mean, just such good world building. And I was like, well, this is my fall time tradition. I talked about a little bit in the last episode. I want to start making this episode, this pre-Culttober episode of mine, my fun episode. I did last year, The Simpsons. So other than The Simpsons, I love Harry Potter. And I was thinking, how do I fit that in the Cult Talk Conspiracy? What Cult Talk Conspiracy-esque mystery is there that kind of ties in with the Harry Potter lore? And the first book is, of course, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone if you're in the UK. Did you know that it's only Sorcerer's Stone in the United States?
No, but I believe it.
Yeah. Is originally Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and they were like, well, kids in America don't know what the hell a philosopher is, so they called it Sorcerer's Stone.
Because we can't teach them.
Yeah,
we can't teach them definition. Man, the U.S. after the split from Britain was like a crazy girl after a fucking breakup, man. Like, we were like changing everything. We did everything except get a bad haircut. Like, we just did it all, man.
Yeah, we apparently wouldn't have known what a philosopher was. And I'll be honest, at that age when it came out, I would have known what the hell a philosopher was. So it was Sorcerer's Stone here in the United States. But as fantastical as it is, the namesake of the book, the Philosopher's Stone, is actually rooted in reality. It's actually a tangible piece of lore here in our own world, in the real world.
That's insane. What? Why? How?
We're definitely gonna get into that here in the episode. Yeah, it's actually like a real, like, documented piece of lore in our history. Are you a fan of Harry Potter at all, Bailey? Or
I am. Yes, my mom was still is a huge fan of Harry Potter, and I remember when the books would come out in the library, she would go like within that week to the library to pick the book up, and then my dad would take us to go see the movies. So it was a fun time.
Yeah, the first movie especially holds like a really special place in my heart because it came out like when I was like at such like a formidable age, and it came out and it was like all the rage. I remember like Harry Potter mania. I remember like all the merchandise and Scholastic book fairs and all that.
Oh yeah,
just being full of Harry Potter stuff. And yeah, it's like such a nostalgic thing for me, and it holds up so well. But are you ready, Bailey? Are you ready to jump into it and unseal this file and hear the real life inspiration for this magical world of Harry Potter?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's go ahead. Let's unseal file 051, Nicolas Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone. The date of his birth is not known to be exact, but a man named Nicolas Flamel is believed to have been born around 1330 in the Pontis region of France. As much as we must speculate on his birth, we also have to do that with much of his early life as well. What we do know is that Nicolas Flamel relocated to Paris, France, where he would become a bookseller, opening the first of his eventual two small shops. Nicholas was also a scribe and would fill the shelves of his shop with various manuscripts. The shop was located at the walls of the historic Gothic Church of St. James of the Butchers, which I believe is still standing today in Paris.
Oh, cool.
Or at least remnants of it. I think it may have been damaged at some point, so I think there's still remnants of the church still standing. Although not wealthy by any means, he did come from a respectable family, and such was able to complete schooling before moving to Paris. So he was an educated man. He was a scribe. And scribes, basically, if you wanted to put scribe, what it was is copying. Like you were able to copy these texts and stuff. You were able to illustrate all of that because, writing wasn't common at this time.
Oh, Lord, no.
As much as reading wasn't either. I mean, they're hand in hand. So, I mean, to have that ability was pretty rare.
Oh yeah, a lot of those who did scribe back in the day were mostly copying the Bible or
Mhm.
religious text.
Yes. Yeah, that was like kind of the main book going around was the Bible. So it was very heavily scribed. They didn't have. It's crazy to think of a time when they didn't have copiers or printing presses, and it was just these books, someone meticulously copying them, and that's how these things got around.
Yeah. Ugh. Crazy. Crazy. You just spend your whole day writing.
Yeah,
Yes.
days and days and days just copying page after page of these books because there was no other way for copies to get around.
No.
Now, his education allowed him to be somewhat successful. Paris, the city of love, also brought him that as well. There, he would meet an older woman. She was about 10 years older than Nicholas, and her name was Madame Pernelle Lethes. She was twice widowed, and from her previous marriages had inherited property and a small amount of money. She was wealthy, not like super rich, but she did have money. I mean, to own land at that time was a pretty big deal. Owning a piece of land that pretty much meant you were in some ways wealthy. In 1368, Nicholas and Pernelle would marry. For most accounts, the Flamels lived a comfortable yet unremarkable life. Pernelle would pass away in 1397 at the age of 77,
Oh.
followed by Nicholas in 1418 at the age of 88. The life expectancy in 14th century Europe was around 50 years old. So the Flamels lived very well. They outlived the 50-year expected, uh, range of life,
Mhm.
but by a couple decades.
They were gods.
I mean, basically, they were able to outlive most people at that time. Throughout their lives, the Flamels used their wealth generously, commissioning religious statues for the French Catholic churches. And after their deaths, Nicholas and Pernelle both had streets in Paris named after them.
No.
Rue Nicolas Flamel, which intersects with Rue Pernelle. So that was kind of cool. Their streets intersect.
That's cute.
And these are still streets today in Paris.
It's cute.
One of the houses owned by Nicholas still stands to this day as the oldest stone house in the city. It is a
Beautiful.
private home with the ground floor being a restaurant, which is called the Auberge Nicolas Flamel. Auberge is apparently the French word for inn or hotel.
Mm.
And I probably pronounced it wrong. But
It's fun. You say it with a really nasally accent, and you'll probably
yeah, there you go.
say it through your nose, and you'll be okay.
Both would be buried at the cemetery at the Church of James of the Butchers. But as their life ends, this is where our story begins. You see, one of Nicholas's true passions was the practice of alchemy.
Oh,
Do you know anything about alchemy?
I know a lot about alchemy.
You do know. Okay.
I
I'm going to put you on the
love
spot. What's alchemy?
it. Basically, you mix like a ton of herbs and everything together. It's like the witch's kitchen, basically. It's amazing. I love
Yeah,
it.
alchemy is sort of a medieval precursor to modern day chemistry.
Hmm.
Before making its way to Europe, it was traditionally practiced in Asian countries such as China and India. And like you said, it's basically it's chemistry. It's mixing all these different ingredients to create potions or elixirs. That's the idea behind alchemy. It is most simply defined as the quest to achieve transmutation, or seeking to achieve the three great human desires. Do you know what the three great human desires are?
I do not.
That is wealth, longevity, and immortality.
Ah,
Transmutation through alchemy could be achieved by creating chemical elixirs with powers to pass from sickness to health, from old to young, from poor to rich, or even earthly to supernatural.
hmm.
There is a line that cleverly hints at things to come in the book Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. When Professor Severus Snape says to his his class of students in the Hogwarts potions class. And the line is,
I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses. I can tell you how to bottle fame, brew glory, and even put a stopper in death.
some people have defined alchemy as the quest for enlightenment and perfection. Part of the allure of Flamel's bookshop were the many alchemy textbooks filling the shelf. It was a real passion of his. Alchemy is something that intrigued him greatly. And as such, he collected many manuscripts and books that he would then put on the shelves of his shop. So a lot of people who were interested in alchemy knew to go to Nicolas Flamel.
He's got the stuff.
He did. He had these a very vast collection of books on alchemy.
That's awesome. I bet that was not super common for that time period either.
Oh, I bet. No. So, I mean, a lot of it came from India. So, I imagine a lot of these are pretty rare texts.
Mm-hmm.
Flamel had a particular interest in the Philosopher's Stone. Now, this is a method that would turn base metals. So, base metals are pure metals like aluminum or steel, iron, whatever it may be. It could turn any base metal into gold.
Oh.
But this was more than just unlimited riches. Because cracking the transmutation of the Philosopher's Stone would achieve mastery of alchemy and unlock secrets of nature and eternal divinity. Essentially, the Philosopher's Stone could unlock a life of wealth and immortality.
Oh.
Yep. That's the main key behind Philosopher's Stone. And it's something you see as well in Harry Potter. I keep going back to that because that's one of the most popular pop culture references we have of the Philosopher's Stone. In that book, that's Voldemort's reason for trying to gain the Philosopher's Stone in the first book is to unlock that immortality and to bring himself back. So
did Severus make the Philosopher's Stone with that line? Did he do it?
No, I think he was hinting at it. I think that was
okay.
I think that's very cleverly. I think if once you go back, I think that's a line that really stands out to me, is kind of like a hint at the Philosopher's Stone. And I'm sure Severus Snape, if you know his character, I mean, he would seek out this as well. He would seek out the Sorcerer's Stone. So I'm sure, being a potions master, he had probably at least attempted or was greatly interested in the Sorcerer's Stone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
This interest bordered obsession, as it did for many intellectuals of this time. And Nicholas believed the formula for the stone laid between the pages of a book. And although he could not find this book, he had seen it before. One night, he saw an angel appear to him. This being held a book more beautiful than any he had ever seen. The angel then spoke to him. Look well at this book, Nicholas. At first, you will understand nothing in it. Neither you nor any other man, but one day you will see in it that which no man will be able to see. Nicholas reached for the book, and then the angel vanished into a golden cloud. So he had seen this book in his dreams, or at least some sort of vision. Being had come to him and shown him this book that he needed to find in order to finally crack the secret to the Sorcerer's Stone. Not a day would pass where he did not think of this book. But no matter how hard he searched, he could find no clues to its whereabouts. Almost as if it were simply meant to be, one cold fall day in 1357, a man entered the bookshop, desperate for money and looking to sell a very rare book. Without argument, Nicholas paid the man his asking price, for this was the book that the angel had showed him. So one day, someone just came in and showed him the book. Hey, that book you've been looking for, it just appeared out of nowhere. He had sought for it for years.
Oh my
just thinking
God.
of this book and having no luck finding any trace of it anywhere he searched. And then just simply a man walks in and sells it to him.
I bet he had to pinch himself in that moment.
Probably.
Or like, what the heck? I'm sorry.
And especially like not even like arguing with the man when he came in, like asking for money. It's like,
Yeah, no.
whatever you want, here it is.
Yep. Yep. Nope. I've been in very few situations where it's like, name your price. I will do it. And luckily I've had my husband standing right there. That's like, no, woman, no. Come here. Like, so I can only imagine. Oh my God, that's insane.
Just as beautiful and unique as he had remembered, pages of the book were made from tree bark and carved on, not written. The binding was made of copper. In all, the book contained only 21 pages, divided into 3 sections with 7 pages each. The first page of the book revealed the author, Abraham the Jew, prince, priest, Levite, astrologer, and philosopher.
Oh my.
Yes, a very multifaceted man.
I would say that's quite a lot of things. All right, you have spare time. Well, I mean, if knowledge is your profession, then yeah, you're gonna make time.
I mean, they didn't have TV shows to binge or anything like that.
Yeah, no, they didn't have all these.
They had a lot of time. They had a lot of time.
Yeah, they didn't have all these distractions.
Yeah,
so.
if you weren't working, you were probably like trying to learn anything.
And with him being
new.
a prince.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to imagine he had probably vast wealth.
Oh yeah, and resources as well.
It also contained a warning. Anyone who tried to read the book, but was not either a priest or a scribe, would be cursed.
Oh, there I go.
Yep. Yeah.
We can't read this. Nope. I have had enough happen to me in 2024.
No, interesting enough, I'm linking the pages of the book.
Shut the fuck up, Tyler. What?
The book is out. Yeah, the book is out there. I'm linking it below. So
this is bad.
If you want to look over, I've looked over it. So.
Why are you doing this? Put it back. This is asking for bad shit to happen.
Now, over the next 21 years, Nicholas and Purnell studied the book, comparing it with other alchemy texts to decipher the strange symbols, but to no avail. Finally, he decided he would need the help of a rabbi. Since the author of the book was Jewish and the book used some Hebrew. Now, at this time in history, many of the Jewish people had been driven out of France and relocated to Spain. It was not good to be a Jew in France this time. Nicholas made copies of the book's pages and set out to Santiago de Compostela in northwest Spain.
It's a very good pronunciation, by the way. Top-notch job, sir.
I took Spanish, so I know a little bit of that.
Oh, wonderful.
For 2 years, he would be turned away by everyone he approached. He persisted, and one day, he met Mater Coches, a Jewish physician working in Leon, Spain. Mater recognized the pages almost instantly as a manuscript called Purifying Fire. And that's the book it's linked below. It's Purifying Fire.
Don't read it. Don't read it. You're just gonna, no, I'm not. Listen, I love you, and I'm sure it has wonderful things in it. I am not a priest nor a scribe, and I've had enough happen to me. I would like my 2020.
I know how to write. I assume that made me qualified.
You are a writer. You're right. Yes, you'll be okay. You'll be all right.
I figured that maybe got me in there. This manuscript was long to be believed to have been lost. It was believed to have been written by a rabbi named Abraham, i.e., Abraham the Jew.
Oh, shit.
Mater was so intrigued by the prospect of helping Nicholas translate the book that he agreed to convert from Judaism to Christianity in order to be able to return to France. So he was throwing away his whole lineage. He was like, I'm no longer a Jew. I'm a Christian now.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh. Wow.
I mean, if this book could give you immortality, what's the point at that?
Yeah,
I mean, what's the point of being a rabbi or a priest or whatever it may be? You got immortality. What are you worried about?
right. Oh, man, there's some thoughts there that I ignored.
Sadly, however, he would never get the opportunity to lay eyes on the original book. Because while on their way back to France, he would fall ill. Mater would pass away before making it to France.
Sounds like you were cursed, Bubby.
Oh, he was a rabbi. So, I mean, he should have been covered.
Yeah, but he gave up his religion and the gods decided, no, we're done with you. You're done with us. We're done with you.
Possibly. That could be it. Nicholas would return to France alone and began deciphering the book with the knowledge he had collected from Mater during their time. They did spend a lot of time together discussing the book and the pages he had brought. So he was able to collect a good bit of knowledge that would aid him in deciphering this. So Mater, although he didn't make it back to France, he did provide enough information to aid Nicholas in taking on the book. He believed he had enough clues to piece together the secrets within the book. On April 25th, 1381, 3 years after returning to France, at 5 o'clock p.m., Nicholas and his wife achieved the unthinkable. I made a projection of red stone upon 1/2 pound of mercury. I transmutated truly into about the same quantity of pure gold. Most certainly better than any ordinary gold, being softer and more pliable. I had indeed enough when I had once done it, but I found exceedingly great pleasure and delight in seeing and contemplating admirable works of nature. It's theorized that he produced 3 batches of gold using the stone, which he used very generously. Nicholas made donations to 14 hospitals throughout France. Wow. He built 3 chapels. He funded repairs on all local churches that needed it.
Wow.
And he made a very large donation to the Church of St. James of the Butchers.
Wow.
Despite these acts of generous wealth, the lifestyles of Nicholas and Purnell did not change. They lived a very humble life. Nicholas continued to work as a scribe, buying and selling books. These donations, however, eventually caught the attention of the mad king, King Charles VI, who ordered a full investigation of the Flamel's finances.
Where are you getting the money
Council of State. Yeah, basically, because I mean, he's a humble scribe. Much like today. I mean, if you start spending more than what seemingly you should have, you will catch attention from the IRS or the government. I guess they're the same, one and the same, but still.
The IRS is worse, but yeah.
So you'll catch attention from these different departments, and the same happened back then. Nicholas is a humble scribe. He's selling books at the back of a church, and then all of a sudden he's building chapels and making these huge donations to local hospitals. So eventually the government, the king at this time, took notice of that.
It's because of taxes. It's because they want their little piece. And
exactly, they want their piece of the pie.
It's none of your fucking business.
You get me on a whole thing about taxes.
Oh my God.
I think most people, no one have you ever met anyone that's like, man, I'd love paying my taxes?
No,
this makes a lot of sense. No one.
Never. Oh my God. No, then this episode's going to be 3 times as long.
We should get Urs on here. Urs has got a lot of information.
We can't do that to them. We really can't. Urs is, man. That would be fun. That would be fun, though.
A full investigation took place on the Flamel's finances by the Council of State. Rumors had began to spread that they were in possession of the legendary Philosopher's Stone. But despite this investigation, nothing suspicious was ever discovered. Now, after Purnell's passing, Nicholas simply went back to his bookshop on a daily basis. He would do a day's work. He'd visit the cemetery where Purnell laid. He would go home and repeat. In his final years, he wrote a number of books on alchemy and prepared his final resting place.
Hmm.
Nicholas actually longed for his own passing, seeing as a welcomed rest for a life well lived. He would pick out his grave. He made his own headstone.
Aw.
He actually was like looking forward to the day when he no longer lived. He even spent some time for his death designing and carving his own tombstone, which featured a sun above a key and a closed book.
Ugh. I'm sure it's beautiful. I just can't wrap my head around designing your own tombstone.
Yeah. I mean,
And
it's a very poignant like design. I like it. It's, the sun, the key, and the closed book. I think those are very thematic and poignant, and they represent a lot. So, but he lived a very good life. He made a lot of very generous donations. He found love. He did what he loved, doing working as a scribe. Legends began to spread almost immediately that both Nicholas and Purnell were not actually dead, but rather living somewhere in Europe under alias with untold riches and the greatest gift of all, immortality. The name Nicolas Flamel would forever be tied to the Philosopher's Stone. And as such, many would hunt for this in his possession. Many of the homes he owned were ransacked with their walls torn open, their cellars dug up, floors pulled up, basically destroyed. After they passed away, people kind of besieged the properties of the Flamels looking for any sign of the Philosopher's Stone. Was it hidden in the walls? Was it buried in the yard? Just
so
destroying these properties looking for this stone.
so damn disrespectful. That's why you didn't find it.
Yeah.
Like, fucking being disrespectful. You have this, like, fucking just magical item, for lack of better terms, that besiege my brain, unfortunately. But, like, oh my God. That's so.
Many of
Mm-mm.
the items left behind by the Flamels were stolen. Even some of the sculptures and art he had commissioned for churches and cemeteries were also stolen in the dead of night, as many believe Nicholas had hidden the formula of the stone in these works.
You stealing from the church now? What? What does this world come to?
Yeah, I couldn't wrap my hand around stealing something out of a cemetery. That just seems. I'm not a religious person or have like a real belief in the afterlife, or whatever. But still, it just seems like just doesn't seem good to do. It seems it seems in poor taste.
I just have a very firm belief of, if I don't know why it's there and it looks like it's supposed to be there, I'm not just gonna fucking touch it. Like, no, thank you. Like, I saw Indiana Jones. I'm good. I'm not prepared for that kind of mess.
Uh, the actual book of Abraham the Jew, Purifying Fire, was passed on to his nephew, who also practiced alchemy, but was unable to crack the formula as his uncle had supposedly done. Over the next 2 centuries, the book was passed on from descendant to descendant of the Flamel bloodline. One of these, named Dubois, although unable to create the stone, did reportedly come into possession of the stone itself. Now, the stone is actually like it's not what you're thinking. You see, if I understand it correctly, the stone is depicted as like a red object shaped similar to an egg. And what you would do was you would break small pieces off of it and kind of smash it into powder. And then you would apply that powder to metal and it would cause the transmutation. So apparently, there have even been like some people who, when they broke into the Flamel's homes, reported finding like vials of red powder and like just kind of dismissing them. And it would come to be known later that was the Philosopher's Stone. That's what it was. It was this powder.
Man, I bet they felt like right cunts.
Yeah, because not long after the death of Nicholas, a German baron claimed to have retrieved a few stone vials of this red powder from one of Nicolas Flamel's houses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Dubois reportedly used this powder to astonish King Louis XIII. he would turn lead balls into gold for the king and just like blow his mind.
Magic.
Yeah, he'd do this. But when pressured to make more powder, he was unable to. So he was condemned to death.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, oh, you can't do this anymore? Well, you're dead. He served no purpose. He served no purpose to the king at that point.
These King Louis just did not fuck around because like next couple after that like went through like 4. I think it was Louis the 15th or 14th.
I don't know. Of them.
One of them with all the wives, in Anne Boleyn, and that went on to actually have the very first Queen Elizabeth, and then Victoria was next after that one.
Okay. I do nothing of the monarchy.
this is all useless knowledge in my brain.
At this point, a cardinal obtained ownership of the book. After the cardinal passed away, the original book was lost, leaving only copies to circulate. To no knowledge, no one has ever been able to recreate the stone since Nicholas was apparently able to do so. One night, grave robbers made their way into the cemetery of the innocents, where Nicholas was laid to rest. They dug up and broke open his coffin, hoping to find the stone. But to their surprise, they found no stone. And according to what they would tell others, no body.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah. You'd think there would be a body
there. That's a big problem.
Yeah. Throughout the 17th and 18th century, there were reports of Flamel being seen very much alive.
Oh, hell no. Oh, no. No. Now I have more questions and...
And his legend would only continue to grow, even to this day. He has been referenced in classical works by Victor Hugo, Albert Pike, and even Isaac Newton.
Oh.
In films like the found footage horror film As Above, So Below. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And most famously, Harry Potter franchise by J.K. Rowling. The Philosopher's Stone plays a central role in the first entry of the saga, being the title's sake. Flamel, portrayed by actor Brontis Jadowski, appears as an unseen character as an on-screen character in the Harry Potter spin-off film The Crimes of Grindelwald, as an ally of Dumbledore.
Huh.
He is featured in the popular anime Full Metal Alchemist and in the video game series Assassin's Creed. Alchemy still lives on today in modern science. Medicines are our equivalent of potions and magic elixirs. The quest for immortality is still one of humanity's greatest desires.
Mm-hmm.
With techniques such as cryogenics and the use of stem cells, hoping to extend our lives beyond expectancy. There's even studies in jellyfish. Jellyfish are a very highly studied species when it comes to immortality, because from what we know, jellyfish just live forever. They have no life expectancy. They live. So there's a lot of research being done into jellyfish to hopefully crack their genetic code and find out what actually gives them that unlimited life. And is there a way it can be passed on to humans? Despite these scientific quests to obtain the everlasting life, maybe the secret is lying in some long-forgotten library under dust in the completed works of an ancient rabbi. Or maybe it's lost forever, only kept in the mind of one Nicolas Flamel, who, for all we know, could still be walking among us today. He and his wife, Purnell, enjoying life, eternally rich and immortal. So.
Oh man, where do I go? Okay. Where do we start? We're going to start with the nephew, because I wrote my first note about him.
Dubois.
So Mr. Dubois, I wonder if if it was because he wasn't chosen like Nicholas was. You know how he had the dream about the angel and
Yes.
everything. So, like in my mind, he was chosen.
That's
Um,
what it seems like to me. It seems like
I,
Nicholas was somehow, some reason, gifted this immortality.
I wonder if it was because of the way that he used the funds that he was given, or like the wealth he was given, rather, because
Yeah.
he helped churches, he helped
Hospitals,
hospitals. For some reason, I was
orphanages,
thinking
all anyone
yeah,
in need, he was very apt to share his wealth with.
which is, and like his lifestyle didn't change at all.
No.
Because like the joke in my house is like, we'll never tell anybody when we win the lottery, but there will be signs.
Yeah.
Like I just personally, I wouldn't be able to resist, and like that is incredible to me, absolutely incredible. I do wonder if the reason they didn't find his body is because, and I'd have to look at the timelines for this, but there was a time, and I think it was in like the 1800s. So we would be way off, but I wouldn't be surprised if this happened during this time period where medical studies were like stealing bodies from
Oh yeah.
graveyards.
Yeah. There's a episode of Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix about
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. So I wonder if that was maybe something that had just happened, and,
Really
like
great movie
just,
called I Sell the Dead. Really great
oh,
movie.
really?
That's a really good movie.
I saw
It's got the guy
that.
that plays Pippin from Lord of the Rings in it.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
really good movie. Takes place in 1800s about these two grave robbers. Yeah, it's a really good movie. But that could be it. Maybe it was already stolen before. And now again, you're taking the word of grave robbers.
Right,
So I
exactly. Yeah.
mean, you have to be kind of like skeptical about anything they're saying, regardless. Just because they already have a pretty thin moral line. So, um,
Mhm.
but Nicolas Flamel, regardless if he is living in this like immortal state, the walking among us, he does have some bit of immortality in
Oh,
Paris,
yeah.
France. I mean, he is a highly regarded figure in
Mhm.
Paris. There are plaques of him at churches, restaurants named after him. Like I say, he's got a street named after him. He
Street.
does have immortality just by namesake, as being a very generous man who helped a lot of people out and really helped France, Paris, as a city. He
Mhm.
was there for a lot of these churches and hospitals that needed money, and he was very willing to just give. Um,
Absolutely.
but it still is a mystery of where this wealth came from. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the biggest part of the Flamels is, there's this supernatural lore that goes around them with this sorcerer's stone. And that's kind of easy to bat your eye at and be like, oh, okay, yeah, the philosopher's stone. But there is still the question of they had an exorbitant amount of wealth that they should not have had. So that's kind of what really makes this whole mystery that much more intriguing, because it to me lends some validity to the idea of this philosopher's stone.
I Yes. Because, like, other than like a secret inheritance, which I mean,
Yeah. And
let's
we
be
and we
real,
we,
it's
we know
just
Purnell had some money. She did have a small amount of money, but it wasn't what they had. It wasn't the
no,
amount that they had.
not to do everything that they did. Not, I mean, not from the sounds of it, at least.
No.
It's just, yeah, that's insane. Hey, Nick, if you're listening, let us know if we got anything wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is a crazy idea to think that someone could be or could be more immortals living among us. And we kind of talk looking on the darker side of that, we talked about last year with the reptilians.
Yeah.
These immortal beings living among us. It's a very interesting concept to think of. Like, and like the like gymnastics you would have to go through to evade being like
Hmm.
caught onto. I
Yeah.
mean, people
Yeah.
age, people die. You would have to like be constantly moving.
There's a scene in The Age of Adeline with Blake Lively in it, where she's out with her now adult daughter, and of course Adeline looks 27
Mhm.
like she did when she became immortal, and she's out now with her adult daughter, and one of the people she was friends with back when her daughter was still very young sees her And the woman is like, you haven't aged at all. And you can tell like this other woman has aged like 20 years. And then they get up and like they move away. And it's like, that's the kind of shit that you would have to go through. But one saying that this reminds me of, and oh man, it's such an eerie saying, but it's so true for this specific file is there are two actual times when you die. The first one is your actual death. The second is the last time anyone ever says your name.
Yeah. What's that movie that Disney, the Pixar movie? Shit.
Is it Up?
No.
always-
Man, what was it? It's really Encanto. I think it's what it is. That's a really good movie. I think that's what it is, Encanto. But it's about like the Day of the Dead.
Yes, that's very recent. Yeah,
That's a good movie.
okay.
I think it's Encanto. But that's that's kind of the point of that movie as well. You know, the Day of the Dead. Is it Encanto? No, it's not Encanto. It's what is it? Pixar Day of the Dead movie. That is Coco. Coco. Yeah, that's the like kind of the plot behind Coco is, you know, the Mexican Day of the Dead is, you know, you're supposed to honor your fallen relatives. You leave gifts and food and whatnot. So there's a really interesting idea in Coco about, you know, there's a relative that no one remembers, no one wants to remember. He's like kind of like he's kind of banished from the family, and so Coco goes into the afterlife to kind of save this relative and allow the family to remember him and kind of clear him of whatever he was blamed for. But it's very interesting, yeah, because that is it. Like I think there's like even like a time, like it's like after a decade of not being remembered, like you cease to be, like you have your second death. So it's very interesting. That's a good Pixar movie if you guys look for it. It was like a huge movie when it came out. It was like a huge movie when it came out. But yeah, that's a very interesting idea. Is like there's going to be a certain point in all of our lives where like we're just not remembered. It's a very bleak thing to remember. But, I mean, think about it, but I mean, it's just fact.
Like we'll be a picture being sold in a thrift store one day.
Yeah. Oh man, that makes me so sad every time I see those. I see those.
Just throw them away. Like stop trying to sell it. Just throw them away. Like stop it. It's sad.
Yeah, that is interesting. You just end up being a fucking bargain store find. That's it. That's like your legacy. Yeah.
Oh man.
But no, the Flamels, if they have, I mean, they're enjoying immortality through their good deeds, if not this supernatural, sorcerer's stone. They are enjoying immortality through their good deeds in the city of Paris. In Harry Potter, I'm trying to think what the line is. So at the end of Sorcerer's Stone, they destroy the stone. Dumbledore has it destroyed, and you find that the Flamels only are immortal as long as the stone is in existence.
Oh,
so that's why Dumbledore protects it, is because it's his way of ensuring immortality for his friend. And after it's destroyed, Harry asks, what will happen to the Flamels? And he basically says they will die together happily. Like they have chosen to destroy it, like because the Flamels make the decision to destroy the stone to ensure that Voldemort isn't able to get his hands on it. So they make the decision to have it destroyed to keep him from getting his hands on it. So, but yeah, they just he says, him and Perny will rest together.
Aww. I'm gonna have to watch Harry Potter today in honor of this episode.
Evan makes me hold out till fall because I'll watch it monthly. I think it's like one of the best film series of all time.
Yep.
People talk about the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm not one for the Lord of the Rings movies, honestly. I think they're fine. They're perfectly fine. But I don't hate them. I just think they're fine. But the Harry Potter movies, yeah, I think that is one of the greatest film sagas of all time. And I'm talking about the main Harry Potter movies, not the prequels. But
yeah. Just works of art, truly. Just the cinematography.
Oh, amazing.
Absolute works of art.
They're amazing movies. But yeah, that was Nicolas Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone. Something I was thinking of when I was writing this as well, talking about modern day alchemy and the quest for immortality, because immortality, I mean, it's always in our in humans discussion. I mean, it truly is one of the great human desires is
Mhm.
immortality. Do you think if immortality was ever discovered, do you think we would know?
Yeah.
Like us as being just like middle class, people, and I don't think we would ever like even know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if immortality is a thing, and there are people that do have this ability, and we just would never know.
My first thought was no, but now as we're like talking and divulging a little bit more, I think yeah, because like that would be something that someone would pay oogles and oogles
Yeah,
amounts of money for.
like it would be like one of those global elite kind of
Mhm.
like secret things, because for one, I mean, you couldn't have immortal immortals. You couldn't have that. That would be a thing as well. It would be who is granted this ability, who gets to be immortal, because
Mm.
our Earth, much like a room, has capacity. And if you're having all these people with immortality,
Mhm.
room's going to fill up pretty quick.
Yeah,
Um,
but my question is, in that case, why did y'all pass up Betty White? Did she not have enough money? Is that why?
yeah,
Because if
maybe.
that woman was an American treasure,
I wonder how many people die a day. Die a day.
why are we doing? You're putting pages of the book.
Earth.
You're looking this shit up. Like,
Let's see.
I bet it's like
150,000 people die every day. 100,000 are due to age-related causes.
damn.
So you got to think, 150,000 people a day dying, and if you were to put immortality, that would snuff that immediately. And
Oh yeah.
that's 150,000 people a day that just added on
Hmm.
to the previous day's population. I mean, it would wear the world thin. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, thinking, and as a conspiratory person, thinking of someone who has belief in the global elite and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was people that have this ability, and it's just not known to us. It would just never be known to us because we don't
Same.
have the money or the power or the I guess the pull to have any reason to know about it. Like
Right.
there's
I
people that
I
will not know about it.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely think just because I have very little faith in all of that is I definitely that's for the highest bidder kind of
Yes.
deal. Like I
Yeah.
don't think it's like I don't think morality has anything to do with those choices. I think it's like
No.
you got this amount of money, okay, come here.
No, the pharmaceutical industry too is just full of that though. I mean, remember the pharma bro? What was it about the what
Mhm.
was it? What do people with diabetes?
Insulin.
Insulin, where like the guy like
Mhm.
raised the price of insulin to like hundreds of dollars
Yep.
for like an injection.
I'll tell you what, I was one of the people when I worked in an emergency room 2 lifetimes ago. I was one of the people that would just bitch about the price of insulin because I'm
Oh,
just
it's insane.
yeah. No,
It's insane.
that's ridiculous. That is a life-saving
Yeah,
daily
it's a
medication.
necessity. It's not like a Viagra or whatever just
Mm.
need you want. It's a fucking like need.
Yeah, like your
Or
body has to have that.
yeah, it's insane. But no, this has been a really interesting kind of like dive into not only just the legacy of Nicolas Flamel, because it is an enduring mystery. He and Purnell, no matter what you believe, I mean, a lot of people don't believe in supernatural things or this kind of fantastical idea of a magical stone. But there is always the question of the wealth of the Flamels. Where did this come from?
Mhm.
It caught the attention of the king. I mean, it was so out of place. And
Yeah.
there's not really a definitive answer as to here's where it came from. No one knows. They were able to do all this stuff and still live a very comfortable life. So and that's the interesting part too. They weren't straining themselves to make these donations. It wasn't like they were giving up their home or,
Mhm.
going without in order to make these donations. They were just able to give these donations while enjoying a very comfortable, humble life.
Right.
They didn't live in excess, but I mean, Nicholas went off to fucking Spain for a couple of years. I mean,
Yeah.
that probably took some money to do.
At least to get there. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. So I mean, it's interesting to think about. the Philosopher's Stone will forever be an enduring part of pop culture. Nicolas Flamel and Purnell have just an everlasting legacy in the streets of Paris. It's interesting to ponder. And immortality still will forever be, I imagine. I don't think there will ever be a time when we achieve it. Or at least, as we discussed earlier, where people like you or I will achieve it.
Oh, no.
Immortality, one of the greatest human desires, right there with wealth and longevity. That was an interesting thing too, is the three human desires. I never pondered those before, but I mean, that's the three things people want. They want to be rich and live forever, or live for a long time at least.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to ponder the Philosopher's Stone, and I was able to find where that was rooted in our reality, so we could talk about Harry Potter as well. So I'm very happy for that, and everyone can enjoy my fall time tradition of binging the Harry Potter films. Yeah, this has been our final episode before we roll on to the busiest time of the year, Culttober, our annual celebration of all things Halloween. We do it across the board. We hit on Cult of Lore, Cult of Campbell will have an episode this year as well, and Culttober Plus. And if you guys don't know about Culttober Plus, it is a year-long feed where Culttober lives all year long. Every day is Halloween on Culttober Plus. It's where we put all of our Culttober horror movie reviews from the past, from the present, and also a little bonus holiday shit we sprinkle in there as well. Culttober Plus, make sure you guys save that feed to keep up to date on all the stuff we have coming out next month, because a lot of things are going to be populating that feed here come next month.
Pretty soon, it's going to be able to be the most wonderful time every day of the year, because that feed is ginormous.
It is. It is. I tell people all the time, like it's not like you have to wait till October for it to have stuff. Like it gets updated monthly.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's a big fucking feed. Go check it out. You can probably listen to an episode. You can probably binge it all the way to Culttober until this one kicks off. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Ty, this was a fantastic way to kick that off, though. I think this is absolutely amazing. This one definitely had me guessing the whole time. Just where, and so many questions as well. I love it when.
Well, that's why we question everything.
Exactly.
But this isn't a kickoff though. But we actually have the honor of kicking off Culttober this year.
I know, they had to give it to us. I mean, let's be real.
The first Tuesday. The first day of October is Tuesday, October 1st, and Bailey, you're bringing us the big kickoff episode to Culttober 4, our 4th annual Culttober.
The creepiest of the creep.
Yeah, you're going to be talking about the black-eyed children.
Yes, I have so much interest in this topic, and this one really does kind of weave itself into a few other conspiracies that we've actually already covered on this show. So I'm very excited to talk about this one.
I love a good conspiracy pasta that kind of weaves its way into different other conspiracies. That's always really fun to find those little backdoor connections where everything just kind of is connected.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I cannot wait to kick things off. I love Culttober. I love Halloween. I love spooky season. And we all get to hang out all month long and talk about horror movies and creepy shit. And it's just a good way to spend the year, spend the season. We look forward to it all year. I mean, Culttober is something that we talk about all year long. We plan for it. We put things in motion. Like, we're constantly talking about it. I mean, it seemed like last year, as soon as Culttober 3 ended, we took that very brief breather because that was exhausting. And then we were back on talking about what we were doing next year.
It was literally like a week.
Yeah.
It was like the first week of November. We were like, all right, back to work.
We were getting things queued up, getting ready to move things. And it's going to be a fun time this year. We're not going to wear ourselves out like we did last year. Last year was great. The biggest Culttober ever. It will probably remain the biggest Culttober ever for a long time to come, because I have no interest in tackling that. That was overwhelming. But you guys can check it all out, Culttober Plus. You can hear all the stuff we did last year. But that does it for us, Bailey. We finished off September. Cult Talk Conspiracy Season 3 is rolling on. We're heading to Culttober to talk about all the spooky shit, and we'll let you guys know in the next episode what you can look forward to as we go into Culttober. But until next time, make sure you guys check out Cult Talk Net across the board, Instagram, Facebook, X, at Cult Talk Net. You can keep up to date on Culttober. You'll be able to see us. Bailey and I, we're here every other Tuesday. Cult of Lore comes out every first and third Thursday of the month, and they talk about Warhammer and all kinds of science fiction and deep dive lore stuff. And make sure you check out youtube.com/culttalknet for the full video version of their podcast. They work very hard on, and it adds just that extra visual element to really immerse yourself in these worlds that they explore. Make sure you guys check out Cult of Campbell. Our very first podcast we ever did was a Bruce Campbell themed podcast. Who would have thunk it? And you guys can check it out. Cult of Campbell. Sometimes it becomes Cult of Russell, and we talk about Kurt Russell in there,
which is always fun.
Always fun. Yeah, you got to balance the two kings. I mean, there's enough. We make sure there's enough room for the two.
Oh yes.
But I think that does it for us. This has been a very fun dive into Harry Potter and fantasy, and some really interesting real life fantasy stuff that there's a lot of evidence for. Nicolas Flamel, undoubtedly a real person.
Oh yes.
Pernell Flamel, undoubtedly real person. Sorcerer's Stone, these are real things. Whether or not they actually existed together, that's up for you to question everything on. But I think all the evidence is there that if immortality is a real thing that's achievable, Nicolas Flamel might have been the man to do it. And you guys can let us know in the comments. Let us know on Instagram what you think of Nicolas Flamel. Is it just a fantasy? Is it a fable? Is it just something concocted for movies and books? Or could Nicolas Flamel be walking among us today as the one true immortal man? Bailey, are you ready to go and just watch Harry Potter now and
I really am,
unwind and enjoy the dawn of fall, because spooky season's around the corner?
I'm gonna need a butter beer for that, but yeah, definitely getting Harry Potter on the TV right now.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be back here October 1st for Culttober 4 kickoff, where we talk with the Black Eyed Children. I've been Ty.
I've been Bailey.
And until next time, question everything. We just hit 7,500 downloads on Cult Talk Conspiracy.
What?
Live. We can probably got more now. That's probably got way more.
What the fuck?
The time we're recording, anyways.
Oh my god. That's amazing. Congrats, bro. Thanks, guys. If you ever get to hear this, we love you.
Yeah, we're probably way past it now, but yeah.
Yeah.